Say goodbye to the spider webbies. No, I mean actually say goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
Goodbye.
I thought you were telling all. Yeah, I thought you were telling all them to say goodbye.
They all did it at home because they know. Good job, viewers.
I was just trying to be a good cameraman.
Goodbye, spider webbies.
Backlit AF.
Yepper.
Grumpy crab. Christmas crab. Scrooge crab.
You can see us in the vlog. Oh, we're that. Hi. Look at this yummy dinner. I don't know why kids are always stereotyped like in TV as like hating Brussels sprouts, but these Brussels sprouts are friggin' amazing. They're my favorite. I love them. This is how far I've gotten on the altar so far. Not a lot. I don't have as much for winter solstice as I do for Samhain, obvi. Most of my Samhain stuff doesn't even go in the Samhain seasonal box because it's just up all year, but that's what we have so far. So still backlit, but I came home and all of this was done. Now here, with my fairy star, my stockings. So far, I mean, it's still a work in progress. So I was going to make some separate videos about winter solstice stuff throughout Vlogstice, and there will be others coming up, but something came up today that I thought I would just share because I haven't edited and posted the footage that I have on my camera right now from our winter solstice altar, and it's not that long, so I thought I would add this on here. So it's funny. This morning I woke up having just dreamt about one of my friends from elementary school who in high school I sort of parted ways with. And this person in particular is someone from my past in grade school who I have dreamt about multiple times since then. Every few years or so, I'll dream of them. Not super often, but repeatedly over these 9 years. And it's always this person. And I'm the kind of person that I usually will message someone or text someone if I still have their number after I dream about them, just to check in. Hey, you popped up in my dream. Thought I would check in. What's going on with you? And so I used to do that with this person, even though we've kind of lost touch, and they've never written back to me. So this morning, as I was kind of like very tired, zombie, getting ready to come hang out with my grandma today, because it's another grandma day at the time that I'm recording this, I was thinking about this whole process. I'm like, you know, I'm probably not going to try to message them this time. They never get back to me. They just don't want to talk to me. Why do I keep dreaming about them? What is it about my friends in high school, for example, that the universe repeatedly tries to tell me something? So I was just thinking, you know, it's been 9 years, and yesterday some people were joking about the fact that I still look 17. I haven't been carded in a while, so I started thinking I was finally looking closer to my age, if not my actual age. But yesterday some older gentlemen were commenting on how they thought I was 17. So obviously, when you're much older, I look much younger. When you're around my age, you can kind of tell that we're around the same age. But anyway, so I'm actually 27 at this time. And so 17 and 27 are a decade apart. It's a pretty good comparison. And people like to do, this is what I looked like at the beginning of the year, and this is what I look like at the end of the year. We're starting to see those posts now because it's December. So I'm thinking about that. Who was I when I was 17 versus who I am today at 27? And what can maybe that tell me about what I'm supposed to be learning from these occasional dreams of people that I knew in high school but have really never spoken to again, who seem to have no interest in speaking to me again. So who was I at 17? Or I'm just thinking high school in general. And the things that I thought of were things like my biggest transformations have kind of been in the fact that I now have less of a superiority complex than I did in high school. And while I know, because I lived it, that some of that superiority complex may have come out of an inferiority complex in other areas, and feeling superior in other ways and concentrating on the ways that I was superior or felt that I was superior were part of my coping mechanism for the ways that I felt inferior. Even though I know that, focusing on that idea that I do recognize less of that superiority complex in me today than I know I had back then. So for example, I was just texting my partner about this. I was saying, I still know a lot of things, right? I was a smart kid in school. People knew me as the smart kid, right? I'm still smart, and I'm still a bit of a smart ass, but I'd say I'm less of a smart ass than I was in high school. I've tempered it. And while I still know a lot, I'm still intelligent, I still love to learn, I still want to know everything about the subjects that I'm interested in, and I think that's perfectly fine. I still know a lot, but I'm not as much of a know-it-all as I was then. It's in the way that I behaved, and the way that I acted, and the way that I reacted to the way that other people were treating me. And so this is the big thing that I was thinking this morning. I'm like, yeah, I have less of a superiority complex now. I recognize that there are some things that I am better at than other people, and that I feel I'm really good at. The things that I consider my skills or my gifts that I feel like I've always had that just came naturally that I didn't really have to work at. And then the things that I've worked at that have become my skill set that I'm really proud of. I have all of these things, but I'm also a lot more humble than I was then. I have a much wider understanding of how things fit together in my life and what got me here, and that some things are worked hard for, and some things are just natural for certain people, and that doesn't mean that those for whom it doesn't come naturally aren't going to work at it and gain that skill themselves. It's just more perspective. And on the other hand, I recognize that there are still some things at which I am what you could call inferior. There are some things that I'm not as good at. I know that, and yet at the same time, I'm confident in the abilities that I do have, much more so than I was in high school. I was a very confident person in high school, for sure, but again, it's just a more rounded perspective of what that means now. And as I was thinking about this, my partner and I were both making the drive out, zombified, on my way to Grandma's, just kind of in silence. We're so tired, we don't want to be up this early, it's snowy, this drive is horrible, I'm glad I wasn't driving. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, yeah, I have less of a superiority complex, I'm less of a know-it-all, I still know a lot, I'm still a smart ass, especially if you ask my mom, but I do it less, I really do. And I'm just like, okay, so here are these thoughts, right? I get to my grandma's house, I decide to check Facebook, and one of the first things I see on my Facebook is a glaring example. I consider this a message from the universe. Here you go, Cara. Here are the things you've been thinking about today. First thing I see is a glaring example of how I used to act and behave in high school, and seeing it now with my eyes and my mind, my experiences now, about a decade later, I see it so differently, and I can see how obnoxious and annoying that was and is. And, okay, there's still a little bit of the know-it-allness, right? So, what it was, and this is related to the winter solstice. One of my friends posted Merry Yule. Bunch of other friends wrote back, Happy Yule, Merry Yule, Happy Yule. And then, one person wrote, that's not until the 22nd, and they called them, a pet name. which can be kind of infantilizing, can be kind of condescending. It wasn't sweetie, but it's that kind of feeling, you know, like if someone was like, that's nice, sweetie, you know, and they're saying it with that kind of condescending tone. And they were like, that doesn't start until the 22nd, sweetie, kind of thing. And someone commented back to them and said, like, yeah, but it's the holiday season. If people are celebrating Christmas now, we can be celebrating Yule now too. And this person responded with a screenshot of when Google says Yule is, and went on to include screenshots of the dates of other winter holidays. My friend ended up saying, oops, my bad, haha, didn't know when it was. And this person wrote back like, that's okay. Like they forgive them for being wrong or something. This kind of thing makes me mad because, first of all, my friend was not wrong, and it has always been my opinion that if you're gonna be an asshole, make sure you're right. At least make sure you're right about what you're saying before you attempt to be an asshole. So not only am I upset because my friend was not wrong, and they shouldn't feel like they can't wish someone a Merry Yule right now. Yuletide is much longer than just the day of the winter solstice, and it's very easy to find that online. So I don't know why Google gives the certain dates that it gives, whatever. I don't know if it's people's popular understanding of when things are, but the winter solstice, which in the Wiccan Wheel of the Year calendar we call Yule with a Y, is one day. The moment of the winter solstice happens on one day, or night, you know, and it's the longest night of the year. It's a turning point. But Yuletide is much bigger. And so even though we interchange winter solstice with the name Yule, Yule actually came from something else. And Yuletide in the Germanic calendar spanned 2 months. So we are in Yuletide, and we have been for a little while. So I commented to this effect, and I also texted my friend and said, friend of mine, buddy old pal, you can say Merry Yule whenever you want. This is Yuletide, and their path is more Germanic based. So I was like, especially in your calendar of the Wheel of the Year, it's Yuletide. You say it. You say Merry Yule when you want to, you know? But it's just this idea that the way I see the behavior now of the hyper-correction of technically it's not until this date, and even showing screenshots and arguing with someone else who's arguing, yeah, but it's the holiday season, we can say it now. Technically no, you can't. I see that now as being so petty and not really mattering in the grand scheme of things. But that is the kind of thing that when I started my practice, I would have done. I would have done something like that. I would have said, it's not Yule. No, according to this, according to the calendar, Yule is this, and the exact moment of the solstice is here. And while it is important to know these things, right, know when the solstice is, whatever, it's not that big of a deal, especially when Yuletide is a bigger thing. So again, it's an example of like, well, if you want to get really technical, no, this, you know. But yeah, just seeing it now that could just say Merry Yule back, just like everyone else did, and continue their holiday spirit, that this person wanted to wish you a Merry Yule. They wanted to wish you a happy solstice, whatever. It's not the solstice yet, but I can say happy solstice if I want, because it's going to be the solstice, and I hope you have a happy one when it gets here. You know, that's like saying that somebody's not allowed to wish you a happy birthday if they see you the week before. Like, hey, I'm not going to see you. Happy birthday. No, it's not today. Today's not my birthday. You can't do it. You only get one day. I don't know about you, but I celebrate my birthday over like the course of a week or a couple weeks, depending on when the plans to celebrate my birthday can take place. So, you know, and Yule is commonly celebrated, even in the Wiccan version of it. The solstice is commonly celebrated on more than just the day of the solstice. The full moon we celebrate on more than just the day of the full moon. We extend it to a day on either side. Some people extend it to 2 days on either side. Whatever. People celebrate the Sabbats sometimes on the weekend that is closest for their coven to get together to try to make it work within our lives, you know? It's just not as big of a deal anymore as I thought it was when I first started practicing. It is important to know, but it's not as important to keep yourself down to the nitty-gritty little detail to the point where you can't say something unless it's that day. That's not important. And it's just something that I thought I would share for any of you who are new to the practice. That is something that I have noticed when I meet people, even in the past few years, when I've met people within the pagan community, only seem to want to talk about very technical, book-learned things. And especially if they only want to talk about how horrible other religions are and why paganism is better and that's why they chose it. Certain things that people choose to focus on and talk about say to me, okay, this person is a little newer on their path. It doesn't mean that's a bad thing. Everyone was new at some point. I was new at some point. Some people are new now. Some people have been doing it way longer than me. You know, it's all relative. Everybody is at that place at a different time. But it just shows me that there really are some ideas and behaviors that I can pick out and like, oh yeah, I thought that when I first started. I said those things when I first started. I believed that. I acted that way. That is how I portrayed myself. And it's like, wow, okay, seeing it with new eyes, right? That we do grow and we improve and we do better. And we learn more, so we know a lot more things, but we also learn the application of knowledge with wisdom, and maybe with a little more tact. So I don't really know what specifically I'm trying to tell you, other than, you know, if you're in a place right now, you're beginning, that's fine. And some people are going to know more than you, and some people are going to know less than you, and just making sure that you know the things that are important to you is great. Good progress, and try to make sure that if you are just learning, that you temper your excitement for all of these things that you're learning, which is so great to have. You need to have that, of course, be excited about what you're doing. Try to temper that to make sure that you're not being obnoxiously mean to people who don't know as much as you yet. Because a lot of you message me, someone messaged me a while ago saying, like, you know, I'm studying this, and my friend is also studying a similar path, and they said I was stupid for not knowing this thing that they thought was a very basic thing for a pagan to know. And so I talked with this person for a little bit through email, saying, well, your friend's not wrong that that is considered a basic piece of knowledge, but they are wrong in thinking that you're wrong for not knowing it. Everyone's path is different, and if it's not something that applies to your path, why should you really know it that extensively? When you have time, you learn all about other people's paths, right? That's something that I love to do, obviously. You guys know that. Something that we love to do through PaganPerspective, the collab channel that I'm on. We love to hear other people's perspectives, and I think it does help to know other people's perspectives. We get this wider view of our community and what we all believe, and it helps bring us together a little bit. But I can see that, especially if you're just learning, it can be very difficult to know everything about everyone's path immediately. When you're first starting, you want to learn about what you're interested in and what you feel like resonates with you. And you might want to learn about a few different paths to see what resonates with you. I definitely recommend that. I tell people, if you don't know where to start, read a little bit about a few different things and see what direction you feel called to go in, what seems right to you. But then you might want to focus on that one thing, and that's okay. So I didn't know details about Norse paganism or Druidry or Celtic shamanism or Satanism or Vodun or traditional, really traditional forms of Wicca even, when I was first starting to study solitary eclectic Wicca. And that's fine. So take from this what you will. I will continue doing this process for myself of how have I really changed, for example, in the past 10 years, from 17 to 27. How am I different? What have I learned? What can I share with younger people now, or people who are newer to their paths, as I was then, and how can we move forward? How can we do better? So I posted on my Facebook page today that I am in the process of forgiving myself for who I used to be, how I used to act and react. And this is what I was referring to. Realizing that I used to be that obnoxious person who had to correct people because I knew more, and I thought that they didn't know. Whereas now, seeing it from my eyes, I would say, well, that person might not be paying attention to the fact that this person's path is different. And it's okay to not know that right away. But let's try to make sure that we're not being an asshole about it if we don't know. Right? We should just not be assholes in general. Forgiving myself for who I used to be, how I used to act and react. And apologizing for it. Because I then texted my friend and said, hey, I just commented on that thing. Say Merry Yule whenever you want. We're in Yuletide. I don't know if they didn't realize that or what, but you are fine. Do not let someone tell you that you can't say that when it actually is totally appropriate for your path, and it's actually totally, it makes sense. Do whatever you want. And also, I am sorry. I am sorry that I used to do that to people. And now I see how distasteful it is. It's not a good look. Not a good look. And I'm trying to look good. I don't know if you could tell that based on the hat that I'm wearing today. But I just made this. And I'm all bundled up because I'm cold. But I'm trying to look good. And that's not a good look. I can't even say that with a straight face. Alright, I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've been enjoying Vlogstice so far. Know the schedule's been a little bit off, as always, with me. And I hope you enjoy it anyway, and there's more to come. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.